Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us for Saturday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy. Up first here, high wind warnings out for just about all of the southeast coast here. That storm rolling northward. The front's still off the coast. As the front moves in, winds will continue to gust above 60 miles per hour. And then that's mostly for this evening. And as the front moves through late this evening, especially after midnight, those winds will come down pretty good, at least under warning levels. Otherwise, satellite imagery showing the system starting down here, rolling northward there, actually making landfall along the coast somewhere between Yakutat and Cordova, or actually Middleton Island in through there, and the moisture streaming northward here, bringing the strong winds gusting 65 miles per hour or better at Skagway earlier today. Quite windy conditions across all of the area there. Storm force winds, storm warnings along the marine areas, and gales over the inside waters with pretty good amounts of rain, but the rising snowfall levels, even Skagway had rain this afternoon that began this morning. Improving back to the west, some snow here through the Copper River Basin, tapering off by the time you get into Prince William Sound. Sunshine, south central Alaska, Kenai Peninsula, and Cook Inlet, and a pretty nice day here down around Kodiak Island, Bristol Bay. And dry conditions and a fair amount of clearing over the interior as well. Temperatures much colder though, staying well below zero, especially up here over the Yukon Flats area and well, much of the northern interior areas. And then up along the Arctic coast, we've got another system coming southward onto the coast there, bringing clouds, areas of light snow with it, another surge of cold air leading edge right through here by the Bering Strait. Otherwise, we have the original Arctic push still locked in over the Bering Sea, but a lot less in the way of snow showers. Wind's not all that bad, and some clearing showing up here from Falls Pass, Eastern Aleutians, all the way out to Adak. And this just the cold air over the open water, forming the clouds and areas of light snow, which is still affecting the Pribilof Islands. And looking at the chart again, we had the first upper level low now kind of linked up with a surface system, and that's all shifting off to the northeast. The next one coming due south here today, tonight, and tomorrow will continue to drop due south, and actually over the next couple of days will cross the Alaska Peninsula instead of swinging eastward like the first one did. So that's going to increase the southerly flow well, as early as tomorrow, and the next system, which isn't on the map yet here, that's going to be pulling northward farther to the west than this one did, and that's going to bring quite a change in first of next week here, actually starting tomorrow night and Monday over south central Alaska and the North Gulf Coast. Anyway, today, here's that low center driving northward here up to the Panhandle. Pressures 970, 975 millibars there. Good gradient here across all of the southeast coast there. The front out to the west, rain, and then the mixture precipitation on up to the north, but those southerly winds driving temperatures well into the 30s all the way up to Skagway, and then lighter snow back to the west over the Copper River Basin, and down locally some snow showers, with this all in the decreasing mode. And again, sunshine south central Alaska, just some variable clouds over the interior with, again, temperatures well below zero right down in some cases the coastline here, but the wind's not all that strong. Just a northeast breeze, barely a breeze even along the Yukon Delta coast there, out to the Pribilofs, snow showers for the Aleutians. Next system dropping snow areas of here into the western Arctic coast, and that kind of slipping on down into the Bering Strait area, and will continue southward tonight. The weak low center at the surface over here over the eastern North Slope, really not doing a lot. The system really shows up much better in the upper air, especially at 18,000 feet. So it'll be mostly cloudy, areas of light snow, no significant accumulations, patchy fog, lower flying conditions to go along with that. But to the south, mostly clear skies, cold temperatures, well below zero again for the overnight lows. Light winds though, and definitely looking pretty good for the VFR conditions all the way down across south central Alaska. Maybe a few scattered snow showers around Kodiak Island, but mostly clear skies extending off the coast. Could pick up some clearing around the Pribilofs as that main snow area kind of shifts back to the west a little bit. Otherwise, really not looking at any change out here for the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. Those east-northeast winds, scattered snow showers, temperatures staying below freezing right down to the eastern Aleutians westward to Shimia. And then here comes the next system here onto the chart by about 3 a.m. tomorrow morning, roughly to this position, kind of getting conflicting timings here, depending on which model run you look at as to how fast this is going to come northward. But right now, slipping up to south of Kodiak Island tomorrow, southerly winds pushing the warm front northward. So a lot of moisture will be streaming up over the cold air that's already in place. Look for snow to develop along the North Gulf Coast, spreading into the Copper River Basin, pulling westward as well, especially in the afternoon, definitely across much of Kodiak Island. Starting out with snow there. Mixed stuff though just off to your east there with the warm front. And this should come almost right up to the crest of the mountains there in the Kenai Peninsula. Could spill over in the afternoon, maybe to Kenai and definitely into Turnagain Arm, Girdwood, Portage on over to Whittier. It looks like snow by this time tomorrow, possibly Palmer. Increasing clouds call for Cook Inlet staying fair. Mostly sunny skies tomorrow afternoon for the southwest interior. Light northeast breezes, cold temperatures right on up to the eastern Arctic coast. And the west side, they're still under the influence of that westerly flow with the low in the Arctic swinging some surges of light snow and not much in the way of wind into the western Arctic coast and again southward to the Bering Strait. And snow showers continue here again out over the Bering Sea, but nothing significant. Winds on the light side, but a big increase in the winds will occur here for the eastern Aleutians and the Alaska Peninsula, especially on the Bering Sea side here, right on up into Shelikof Strait. And then on Monday, we'll see big change going on here with the low center coming up just south of Kodiak Island. Front roughly in this position by Sunday afternoon, say around 3-4 in the afternoon. And again, surges of moisture, downsloping effect. So Cook Inlet, especially from Anchor Point up to Palmer, really not a favorable pattern for much in the way of any significant snow. Definitely warmer temperatures surging northward here, so precipitation will become mixed across Prince William Sound. By afternoon, it'll be rain from Cordova to rain heavy at times and gusty winds there for Yakutat. Gales probably showing up. Looks like the storms will stay over the offshore water areas and possibly gales here for the coastal areas. Definitely wind on the increase and rain spreading back in over the area of all of the Panhandle from Queen Charlotte's right on up to Skagway and into the Yukon a little bit there. Dry for the Tanana Valley, southeast flow across the Alaska Range. Temperatures on the upward trend, but conditions dry, variably cloudy. Along this trough axis, mostly cloudy, areas of light snow or snow showers, nothing significant there as well. But there is a winter storm watch out for heavy snow here for the western Susitna Valley on the upslope areas there as you head toward the Alaska Range. That's out for actually starts tomorrow night and continues through Monday. There again, that'd be west of the Parks Highway. Could see some significant snowfall occurring there due to the watch being out. It's definitely in the forecast. And then lighter snow back to the west, becoming mixed there over Bristol Bay. So definitely big change coming up for that area. More in the way of wind out here along the southwest coast, up to the Bering Strait. Cold air surging southward there. And here where it gets out over the open water off the ice edge. Going to have snow and breezy conditions for the Pribilofs. Back to the northwest, that's going to slip on down into the Alaska Peninsula. Gusty north winds, maybe up to 35, possibly 40 miles an hour. King Cove, Falls Pass area, maybe Cold Bay with continuous snow, and that'll extend over to at least on Alaska, possibly Nikolsky, but from Nikolsky westward, a lot better on the conditions. Lighter winds, just some scattered snow showers. Temperatures across the southeast coast today, 30s to lower 40s. We had a 41 there at Petersburg. Sitka not on the chart there. They're up to, I think, 43 degrees. And mid-30s there, 36 at Juneau. Skagway, 39. 42 over at Yakutat. And the colder air, just 23 at Cordova. And we had 14 at Gulkana, Copper River Basin holding on to clouds, areas of snow there. Up in the Tanana Valley, Fairbanks this afternoon, 4 p.m., 19 below, Tanana minus 23. Up around 10 here for South Central Alaska is the Sitna Valley with Talkeetna at 12 above, Kenai 10, 13 over at Seward, 17 at Homer. And heading back up to the north, coming up from the mid-minus 40s this morning, Fort Yukon up to 29 below, 22 below over at Bettles, and a minus 20 at Anatuvik, minus 23 over at Kaktovik this afternoon, but one above at Point Lay, single numbers here across the northwest, 2-3 below at Nome, 9 Savunga, and then McGrath minus 10 to minus 15 down at Bethel, and then back into the 5 to 10 range along the coast. Teens for the Pribilofs, freezing from Adak, Atka over to Shemya, and 20s there for Alaska, cooling into the single numbers and right down to 0 or below 0. King Salmon with minus 3, AKwx 16, Kodiak State Airport 22. Lows for tonight dropping to 14 there at the state airport. Otherwise, another cold night here, 30 to 45 below across the Yukon Flats. A little milder back to the west here, but still well below 0. Yukon Kuskokwim Valley, all the way down to the southwest coast there in the minus 20s below 0. Same thing on the north slope. Milder conditions, lows in the lower 40s there for the southern southeast coast. Highs for tomorrow, 40s across all of the Panhandle tomorrow with mid-30s for Yakutat. About the same as today here for south central Alaska, and well below 0 north of the mountains there all the way to the Arctic coast, and shading above 0 for the southwest coast tomorrow afternoon, 5 at Makoryuk. And over at Gamble, 22 for the Pribilofs, mid-30s in the Aleutians, a little above 0 there, maybe 10 degrees for the northeast Bristol Bay area, mid-30s for Kodiak. Flying weather tomorrow, we've got good VFR, Bristol Bay here, Alaska Peninsula south side, Kodiak Island northeastward, IFR back up to the northwest in that area with marginal conditions out to the Arctic coast, marginal VFR, Gulf of Alaska, kind of inland here along the North Gulf Coast, eastern Copper River Basin, IFR mostly over toward the border. So once the front comes through the Panhandle tonight, the conditions should improve there and become a little better. Marginal out over the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And then for tomorrow, moisture coming northward, IFR spreads into Prince William Sound, south side of the Kenai Peninsula. IFR tomorrow afternoon, Kodiak Island, Cook Inlet staying in the clear, and really not a lot of change here for the Panhandle, but VFR from southwest to northeast, marginal stuff up through here with that system coming down from the north and the snow and clouds with that, and more IFR coming into the Pribilof Islands, but south of St. Lawrence Island. Passes, Anatuvik, occasionally marginal, and that same forecast good for Adigan as well. Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR, either approach, rainy, VFR, windy. Looks good. Isabel as well, but in Tasta, VFR trending down with the moisture streaming northward in the afternoon. Definitely on the south entrance, a good chance of it becoming marginally tomorrow afternoon. And Tanita should stay VFR. Portage will be on the downward trend, may start out VFR, could be marginal to start with, but definitely becoming IFR into the afternoon. And Chilkoot and White's easy, IFR. Freezing levels south of the Aleutians here to about Adak Atka, south of Kodiak Island. This for late tonight, got 2,000 to 4,000 feet there from the Queen Charlotte's up across Dixon Entrance into the southern southeast coast. Icing, again, be moving from south to north here, so by tomorrow afternoon spreading up to the North Gulf Coast, back down across Kodiak Island, much of the Kenai Peninsula, and this more of a mixed icing condition here for the Panhandle will be in diminishing mode throughout the day. Winds aloft, 18,000 foot wind flow chart, and the superimposed 33,000 foot jet stream well to the south here takes a turn to the north, about 90 knots there across Prince of Wales Island, more likely Dixon Entrance, and this is the system with the moisture that's going to be coming northward with the trough hanging back to the west here. This trough is going to drop due south over the next several days. 9,000 foot winds, big winds coming northward tomorrow afternoon, 60 knots, but 35 Kodiak, increasing to 40 for the North Gulf Coast. Otherwise, southwest 30 to 50 for the Panhandle. Eastern Copper River Basin, 30 knot winds, much lighter over the interior, becoming north along the west coast, Bering Sea, southward to the eastern Aleutians up to 35 knots. Not too bad out west, big area high pressure for lighter winds. and a 3,000 feet, more northeasterly on the direction here. Pretty light out west there, maybe up to 25 for Atka, 35 for the Fox Islands. 35 knot winds here. Strongest winds south of the Alaska Peninsula back up to Kodiak Island. Easterlies 45 knots there just east of Fognak Island. Winds on the increase for the North Gulf Coast throughout the day, and eventually even Copper River Basin, mostly late tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. Those will see more of an increase, and the winds here coming back up after a break here across the Panhandle sometime tomorrow. Turbulence-wise, still look for some mechanical stuff here, light to isolated, moderate below 5,000 feet for all of the southeast coast. More moderate stuff here, likely for Cook Inlet on down to Kodiak Island, especially from Kamishak Bay and Shelikof Strait on the south side of the Alaska Peninsula. And after the break, I'll be back with a look at the marine forecasts.
Some people think that to be a professional pilot, you have to make your living flying. Well, there's another way to define professional. A professional pilot is a pilot who knows and understands the fundamentals of operating his or her aircraft, both in the air and on the ground. And the second mark of a professional is a desire to always be better. Not just to be a good pilot, but to constantly improve our skills and techniques until we are better pilots. And that's what we're about here today, to review the fundamentals that will make us better pilots as we operate on the runways and taxiways of our airports. In many ways, it takes more knowledge and skill than it takes to fly. So, let's review. Always look, listen, and expect the unexpected.
Know where you are and where you are going.
Study the airport diagram before taxiing.
Write down taxi instructions.
Conduct checklists while stopped, not on the move.
Off, off, off.
Be absolutely familiar with airport signs.
Keep a sterile cockpit to reduce distractions while taxiing.
Identify complex intersections and potential runway crossings.
Look both ways before crossing intersecting taxiways or runways.
When communicating with air traffic control, listen before transmitting.
Cessna 3284 Delta, hold short of runway 19 left.
Listen to what air traffic control is saying to other pilots.
15 Niner Echo Charlie 130 cleared to land. Traffic holding in position.
Be sure you understand all air traffic control instructions.
Cessna 594 base turn approved, runway 25 left, clear to land.
Ask for progressive taxi instructions if confused.
Could you give me progressive taxi instructions?
Cessna 3284 Delta, Merrill Ground, runway 26 right, taxi via Golf, hold short of runway 26 left.
Don't be afraid to ask that an instruction be repeated.
Ground 3284 Delta, say again.
If you don't know, ask. If you're not sure, verify.
Don't miss my squawk, please repeat.
Squawk 7302.
Read back all hold short, position and hold, and runway crossing instructions. A simple Roger won't do. Repeat the entire instruction.
Cessna 30 Papa. Cross runway 19 left, position and hold runway 19 right.
453 Sierra Papa, crossing runway 19 left, and position and hold runway 19 right.
Turn on all of your lights when crossing a runway. Turn on all of your lights except landing lights when taxiing into position and hold. Turn on your landing lights when cleared for takeoff. This is a signal to other pilots, air traffic control, and ground personnel that your aircraft is moving down the runway for takeoff.
When lining up for departure at night, line up 3 feet to one side of the center line to distinguish your aircraft lights from the runway lights.
Avoid distractions. Observe what's going on around you. Always know where you are and where you're going.
If you and I observe these few common sense rules and procedures, it will go a long way toward making the runways and taxiways of our airport safer. For our passengers, our fellow pilots, and ourselves. Heads up, hold short, fly right.
Hello, I'm Bill Davis, Director of the Office of Runway Safety for the FAA. As a fellow aviator, I hope you enjoyed reviewing runway safety from such an exciting perspective. Our thanks to Patty for showing us that attention to safety really does begin well before we climb into our airplanes. Preventing runway collisions is our #1 goal. We can accomplish this goal if we're all committed to improving our skills while operating on runways and taxiways. Thanks again to Patty Wagg's staff. We wish you blue skies and safe landings.
Welcome back. After the front pushes through this evening, winds will be lighter, but they won't end altogether. So we're still carrying 25 to 30 knot winds out of the south for all of the panhandle here, or the coastal areas with seas 16 feet. Winds should come down to 20, 25 knots over the inside waters, but staying from a south-southeasterly direction. Then on Monday, these come up to gale force here since the Monday map's missing. They'll all be south on the south coast there, 35 knots. Southeast increasing to 35 knots again Monday here on the north coast. Winds also coming up over the inside waters, looking at 30 knot winds for Stevens Passage, northern Lynn Canal south 30, and southeast also maybe 35 knots for Stevens Passage, or for Clarence Strait. And for south central Alaska or Prince William Sound, northeast 15, same thing for Cook Inlet tomorrow, east southeast 20 to 25, North Gulf Coast. And then small craft advisories from the northeast there for Kodiak Island with higher gusts. Same thing for Shelikof Strait. More northerly for Kamishak Bay at 30 knots. And then south of the Foreland, small craft advisories with freezing spray. Outlook for Monday, we've got gale force easterlies now in Kamishak Bay with 9-foot seas. Small craft advisories here, Shelikof Strait, Kodiak Island, the Barrens. Out of the southeast. And then kind of a lighter wind condition here for the western and north Gulf Coast, and then back up to 30 knots there in the Middleton Island zone from the southeast. Seas up to 18 feet. Prince William Sound east at 20, northeast 20 for northern Cook Inlet. Bristol Bay, northeast winds 30 knots from the bay right on down the north side of the peninsula to Cape Sarachev. Gale force northeasterlies at 40 knots on the Pacific side all the way up to Sitkinak, with heavy freezing spray, especially on the north side, but even looking so, at least freezing spray on the Pacific side. And then for Monday, those swing around northwest, come down to 25 to 30 knots. Higher gusts through the bays, of course, with freezing spray, heavy on the north side, and northerlies at 20 for Bristol Bay. And then 25 knot winds from Sitkinak to Castle Cape. And for the Aleutians, 30 to 35 knotters for the Fox Islands and small craft advisories for the central Aleutians. From Adak west to Shemya, coming down pretty good, 15 knots from the northeast, 7 to 8 foot seas. And that light wind condition continues on Monday as well. Be actually a little more variable than just northeast out here, but on the light side. And then just northerlies, 15 to 20 for Adak and Atka. Picking back up, not gale force though, but 25 to 30 knot winds for small craft advisories there for Unalaska Island, and actually around Nikolsky as well with freezing spray. And for the southwest coast, south of Nunivak Island, coming out of Kuskokwim Bay, northeast 20 knots, dropping or increasing to 25 for the Priblos, back down to 20, St. Matthew Island. Pretty light winds now, just north 15 for St. Lawrence Island, and that holds through Sunday as well. Another map went missing. Anyway, not a lot of change for for Monday there. And otherwise, for the Arctic coast tomorrow, southwest 10 knots. Central coast really becoming light onto the east there. No heavy winds at all expected here for anywhere along the Arctic coast tomorrow, all the way down to the Bering Strait. And then, yes, Monday, northwest winds 15 from Cape Beaufort to Cape Thompson southward, pick it up a little to 20 knots there. And then pretty light winds west-southwest, very weak troughs off to the west there, so not a lot of wind expected, and then kind of becoming variable, swinging around to the northeast on the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, and a little more easterly, say 15, head on over to Demarcation Point. And for tonight again, gales and storms fall back here, or diminish as that front pushes inland, so the high wind warning's out for a good stretch of the southeast coast there for gusts to 65 miles an hour. Ahead of the front, rain heavy at times, mixture of precipitation depending on elevation here on up to the north. Snow hanging on to the eastern interior, but fair, clear skies, cold temperatures tonight, south central Alaska, on down to Kodiak Island, but there may still be a few lingering snow showers around the area there. Nothing significant. Next storm coming onto the picture here, eventually late tonight, definitely tomorrow, increasing those northeast winds. Upper level trough coming southward, clouds, areas of light snow, light snow, and no change for the Bering Sea here. Then for tomorrow, there we go, storm coming up, something like this, warm front, warm air surging northward, spreading snow northward, especially into the North Gulf Coast, Copper River Basin, edging its way back to the west, and including Kodiak Island. And then for the next day, pretty good gradient here over the eastern Gulf of Alaska, warm air surging northward, winter storm watch out for the western Susitna Valley for heavy snow, more cold air plunging southward.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.